So a friend of mine asked me the other day how I got started in this business, and it's quite an interesting story. So I was working at a dealership, a relatively big one here on the Gold Coast, and um, I ended up leaving. That might be another story for another day. And I wasn't doing anything, so I was kind of just figuring out what my next move was going to be. And then a client that I sold a car to, because at the dealership we just use our own personal phones. So the client that we sold a car to rang me and he was like, he's an Indian fella. And we got on pretty well. We're like friends, but he was like, I want to sell my car. I've got to go back to India real quick, and I want to sell my car. And I was like, okay, well, I can give you the number of the manager at the dealership that I worked at, and they might they make an offer on it, and you could sell it back to them. So I gave him the number, and he rang me back about an hour later, and he's like, "No, they're offering me terrible money. Like I can't do that deal. It's so bad." And he's like, "Well, what if I give you my car, and then I go back to India, and then you sell it for me?" And I was like, "Well, I'm doing nothing at the moment, so that sounds like a pretty good deal, and maybe I can make some commission on it." So we worked out a deal. He gave me the car, and I parked it in my garage. I advertised it, car sales, took some time, and sold it. Made a couple of grand commission, which is great. And then I was still trying to figure out what I could do for a job. And I was literally going, I wonder what I could do. Like, is there something where I could make some money? Like, I was trying to figure it out. Like, I was trying to think of a business. I don't want to get another job in a car yard. And I was like, I wonder what there is, if there's anything. And like the whole concept of this business had just been handed to me on a platter by Sam, who was the Indian man that was going back to India, had just given me this car. So then after, I don't know, trying random stuff, I even did a little e-commerce business for a bit, and that sort of went okay. But it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing. I wanted to do something with cars. I love selling cars. I just didn't love working at that dealership. And so I thought, well, I'll do this. I'm going to like ring people on car sales. I'm going to get them to give me their car like Sam did. So I started ringing. I had a little office in Mermaid, and I started ringing people. And it went terrible. No one was interested. And I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, surely. And I was even doubting it. Like, I got to the point where I was like, no one is going to pay somebody to sell their car for them because they can do it themselves. That was my mentality. I was like, this is stupid. And then, I don't know, I took some time off again to try and figure out what I was going to do. And I was like, no, this car thing, I think I can do this car thing. I just don't know how I can do it. And then I decided that I was just going to do it. I think I had 10 grand left, like 10 grand in the bank. And that was kind of all my money. And I was like, I'm just going to do it, but I'm going to do it properly this time. So I went out and I got my license, my motor dealer's license, paid for that. And that's expensive. Well, it's expensive when you've only got $10,000 left. So paid that, then started working through the process of actually becoming a motor dealer rather than just trying to like test this business concept by ringing people. I did everything but talk to people. So I went and got the license. Then I spoke to the place that makes the car. Like you to get like a dealership website, you typically have to have a dealer's license. So you kind of have to follow this process of getting the license. Then I can get the website. Then I can open my account with car sales, because you can't just open a dealership account with car sales unless you're a dealer. So you have to have the license to be able to do all this. So you have to follow this process all the way through. So, and what happens is you inevitably start, and whether you call it like putting the energy out into the universe or whatever it is you believe in, the reality is by making those moves and creating that momentum, it started to change. So then when I was ready to start calling people, and I had no cars on the website, like I had the website all set up, and it looked so scammy because there was no cars on there. So you'd be like, it's Matt from Titan Vehicle Brokers. And they'd be like, look on the website, they go, you've got no cars. And I'd be like, yeah, I know, but you could be the first one. And do you know how hard it is to sell somebody something when they know you're their first customer? They are skeptical as hell. So then go out, see the client. I actually saw 3 people. And the first 3 people I saw so the process was a bit different to what it is now. So I'd make an appointment. I'd go and look at the car. Then I'd tell them what I thought we could sell it for. And these people already had their car listed on car sales. They hadn't sold it yet. And then I would make an idea of what, give them an offer, not to buy, but of what we could sell it for. And weirdly, the first 3 people all said yes, like without too much negotiation at all. Like they all said yes. So then we're off to the races. We had first clients, and I had to organize a photographer. So I had no one to take photos of the cars. Like I hadn't thought about that. I was like, how are we going to photograph these cars? I don't want to take photos of all the cars because I know what I'm like with a camera, and my wife says I take absolutely horrendous photos. So I was like, what am I going to do? So then I had to find a photographer, and luckily we found the photographer that we use now, who was insane and possibly the best vehicle photographer that I've ever worked with. Like he is amazing. And so he has done every single car right from day one, but like the first client to the current client, he has photographed basically every car, assuming it's on the Gold Coast or Brisbane. I've even sent him to the Sunshine Coast a few times. Like he's an awesome photographer. So I guess the story is that you've got, if you want to start a business or you want to do something, you've got to start the momentum, and the momentum is what will like turn it into something tangible. Like when I was trying to do it the first time, I wasn't committed. I was like, well, I'll just ring some people and we'll see what happens. Whereas by committing to the process and getting the license and getting the website and opening the car sales account and committing to, because there's fees for all of that, right? And spending that money and putting it out there, that's when you get it back. So if you are, not that I'm trying to give anybody advice, but if you are starting to look at doing a business, you've got to start the process and do it properly. And if you do that, then it's like they say, if you build it, they will come.